The man, the myth, the legend.
Hello, Doug B. How are you?
I'm very well. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing excellent.
Great, thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
My name is Will. Tim is my co-host here.
Okay.
Pleasure
Yeah.
speaking with you guys. So yeah, I just wanted to say first of all, we both had the opportunity to see Thorns in the last day or so, and I really liked it.
Nice.
Really dug it.
Thank you.
Yes.
It was so surprising to me, the mood and the setting and how you accomplished. It felt like building its own universe in a way, even though it's more of an independent film. You were able to build this universe. It felt like a lived in, breathed in universe. So I just wanted to mention that right off the top. We both really dug it.
Thanks. That's a high compliment. What you just said there. So thank you very much.
One of these days,
Um,
I'm going to start one of these interviews, and guy's going to say, "Well, I had the opportunity to see the film this morning. I thought it sucked, frankly."
Not this time. Not this time.
I'm
Those
sure
those
there's-
interviews would
yeah.
be more fun now.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, that's it. That's
That would be
great.
quite an interesting way to start an interview.
Yeah. But thank you for that. Yeah, the mood is, that's what you go for. You wanna create a world unto itself, right? So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Doug S., with regard to Thorns, there's definitely, I think it's hard probably for a writer and a director as yourself to find a way to pay reverence to the things that came before, to find a way to have, little homages and show your appreciation for your love of the genre without going too far into that. I guess and I don't think you did. I guess my question is, how do you strike that balance? How do you find a balance between having that reverence for these things without sacrificing the originality of your own project?
yeah. Well, it's actually a great question, because it was an effort to decide how far you go with retro, how far you go with homage. I see some other films out there, and they'll cut their trailers to look like, they're straight out of the 70s, and they'll add the film grain, and they'll do this. And so, I consciously wanted a contemporary movie experience, but I wanted to have elements that gave you what I thought were, that retro vibe, right? Hearkening back to the 70s and 80s. The idea, I think, came about, a series like Stranger Things, I think, strikes that balance as well. And they do it quite well, even though they're literally set back in time and they have their own rules. But that was an inspiration for this. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. My question is for Mr. Bradley, Doug B. You've had a long, successful career, but you've not just in film, but you also done theater, you've done television, you've done voice roles in video games, you've done audiobooks. What attracts you? What still motivates you to keep acting, and what attracts you to projects? Specifically, what attracted you to Thorns in picking this project?
What attracts me to acting is I'm an actor. It's and God, these alerts are being very. It's not my computer, otherwise I'd come out of here and quit the mail application. But I don't like playing around with other people's computers. We get the chance to work infrequently enough as actors, and I've always said that I don't accept that actors are artists. We're interpreters, and we're in a slightly strange position, because I've always said, if you're a writer, if you don't have a publisher, you can still be working on the great American novel and writing short stories and tucking them away in folders and drawers against the day when someone pays attention. And you can write anywhere you go. If you're an artist, you can draw, and you can, sketch on napkins in restaurants and so forth. Musicians can play at home, even if they're not in a band or attached to an orchestra or whatever. Actors can't do that. You know, you try being an actor on your own in the corner of a restaurant, you'll probably get thrown out pretty quickly. And I've always said it's like when you get the phone call to say, great, you've got the job and you start work on Monday, and you'll be working for the next 3 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it may be. It's like they're saying, as of Monday morning, you are given permission to be an actor again. But in 3 weeks' time, at 5:30 p.m. on that Friday, permission is withdrawn, and you can no longer be an actor. And it's you know, it's what I am, it's what I do, and I'm in my 70th year, and it's an unforgiving profession, as everybody knows. We know SAG's own figures that suggest that 90 to 95% of the membership is unemployed at any given moment, which, you know, made me smile a bit at the notion of SAG calling its members out on strike, because for most SAG members, a day on strike is, hey, another day in paradise. So to get the chance to work and to be in a position where people are just prepared to send me a script and offer me a job, I am remarkably lucky, and I'm not about to turn my back on that, you know, as long as I've got breath and wind and I can still remember the lines and get up and walk about. I will keep on working, and then it's always the same process. You know, my agent contacted me. Here's an offer. Here's a script. I've worked with this guy before. I vouch for him. Take a look. Let me know. And then you know, the question is, does the script grab me or not? And this did. Just jumped off the page to me very quickly as an interesting story, an intelligently written screenplay, and I was intrigued by my own character, the ambivalent Archbishop Jenkins. So I read the script, and I think Doug and I had a Zoom call together, and that was it. I was on board.
Cool, thank you.
So Doug B, I wanted to ask you, with regard to the Archbishop, your role in the film is, it's so separate in a lot of ways. You're separated, you're isolated from a lot of what's going on with the action, the things that are going on with John Bennett's character, but there's obviously such a past and a history there between you and John's character. Was it hard to establish that rapport with him, actor to actor, with your limited time face to face?
Well, I'll let you into a little secret.
All right.
We didn't have any time face to face. I'm always appearing on John's phone. So my stuff was recorded literally as I am now, sitting looking straight down a camera lens. And although I think when we were doing the confessional scene, I don't think John was there. Was he?
John wasn't, but
no.
Matt, yeah, was. We
Came
put
in to
someone
say
in.
hello.
Yeah.
So I didn't. That's magic and brilliant editing. and you know, and it's good credit to John as well, who, you know, he really carries the film, and it's a great performance, and he has to react to a blank screen. Which he does really well. But there were lots of curiosities, lots of question marks for me around Archbishop Jenkins, which remain unanswered, either by Doug or in my own head, and I'm okay with that, because I don't know what that history is precisely. We don't know what that history is precisely. You're quite right to say that Jenkins is kind of in a separate place. I don't know where exactly that separate place is, or how exactly he is operating as an archbishop. I mean, we see some evidence of him actually having been a priest in a church doing stuff that you'd expect. But everything else for me is ambivalence. But I like that. So I didn't worry too much about trying to answer all those questions for myself, because then they're questions that will remain unanswered in the film. So I'm not trying to answer them for myself or for anybody else. Only he knows. And he
Spill
ain't-
the secrets. Spill the secrets, Doug S.
Well, I have a question too for Doug S. My question is, I believe this is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe this is the first time you've done the score for one of your own movies. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So my question, I guess, and it's kind of a multi-part one too, is what was that process like? Did you have any musical experience coming into this? And what were did you have any influences as far as the score went? Like what kind of maybe movies or music in general that you pulled from for the score?
Well, sure. Yeah. Influences abound, right? Synth-driven scores. John Carpenter, I think, represents to me sort of like the the upper echelon of filmmakers, and other films that I've done, I've always collaborated with composers, and in some instances, I would produce like something very scratch, you might say, template. And this time around, while my wife was editing the film, I had GarageBand. I kid you not. And GarageBand changed everything. I was sitting there and I would knock out what the theme that I've had since I started writing it. I almost heard the music before the story was in place. And I just kept developing it with layers. And there's so many samples and things you can use these days. I don't want to make it I don't want to underscore what composers do and musicians. I'm not a classically trained musician by any stretch of the measure, but I just knew what I wanted, and I could today with technology, you can, if you know what you want, you can figure out a way to achieve it, kind of with technology helping you. So what's funny is, I'm sticking with a retro feel for the film, but yet I am looking to very modern technology to help me achieve it. Right. So, yeah. I don't know if did that address the full question?
Yeah, no, I mean you answered, and your influences, of course, were Carpenter as well, and I saw a lot of that in the movie as well. That and a little bit of Italian horror with a lot
Well,
of.
there you go. Yeah, you've
the,
got Goblin,
yeah,
floating around there, right? And yeah, for
and of
sure. So,
course the eyeball scene in the beginning too, not
right,
just the music. Yeah.
there you go. Yep. Yeah.
The eyeball horror was very mean. We're very upset with you for having to watch that, by the way.
Well, then we did our job,
Yes,
right?
you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
I suppose if you're enjoying it, then there's, I don't know. I don't know how to, yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I got it. Before we let you guys go, I know you've got a crazy busy weekend. Doug S., have you taken Doug B out to any Michigan hotspots to have some dinner or lunch or anything good?
Not well. Let's see. When he was no,
Nope.
nothing
Nope.
yet. Yeah,
Nothing.
we're, I'm pretty. Made sure he got in. But yeah, he's got his manager here, so we got to run everything by him. But there's a few dive bars down the street. We'll see. There's still time.
Yes,
There you
are.
go.
Yeah.
They're looking after me
love it.
well. I'm being taken care of. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Good. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. Can you tell our audience where they can find Thorns, what's going on with the film in terms of the release? Give us some info there.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. Yeah, so Saturday, I think there's like maybe 4 or 5 tickets left for the a red carpet at 7 p.m. at the Emagine in downtown Royal Oak. Then starting Friday, February 23rd, we begin our release, and we'll be in Michigan, I think, in half a dozen Emagine theaters. Emagine Rochester, Emagine Novi, and you can get tickets now. I think they're even going to have a special midnight show the Thursday before the Friday. So, but then in on March 13th, the film is going to hit many other states across the country. So we're really excited about that. And yeah, it's big thanks to a whole group of people, and Anthony Laverde through the Emagine Theaters. We're really thankful. They like our movie, so we really like that.
That's fantastic. Thank you guys so much. And get Doug B out to one of those dive bars. You guys deserve a drink.
All right, we're gonna work on that.
Good.
All right.
Thank you, fellas, so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. You're welcome. Bye.
Take care.